Harrison, you and I have known each other now for a while, right? I don't know if you would agree, but generally I'm professional. Would you say that that's a fair statement?
Yes, I would.
Okay. I feel with this radio show, which you're kind enough to join us, interrupt your morning routine, that we haven't put our best foot forward. There's always a delay or a drop or something. I don't feel we put our best foot forward with you, and for the entire group, including Seth, who's done most of the damage by the way he handles the board, I just want to apologize. I hope we're good. I hope we're still cool.
Of course we're still cool. There's no need to apologize, Jim.
No, all right.
All righty. We got him.
So
Good start. Let's go.
So here's what I wanted to ask you about. It's something we touched on in a pregame interview. But I'm fascinated by kind of like the personal lives of players because, in fairness, I think one of the swings and misses, to use an analogy, by MLB is they don't market players enough, like in terms of what they're all about, not just on the field, but like to me, you're an interesting guy with an interesting background. One of the things we talked about is you're related to a rock band called Vampire Weekend. And when you first told me about that, I Googled them, and they've been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So tell us about Vampire Weekend and what the family connection is there.
Yeah, Vampire Weekend's a lot bigger than I am, I can assure you that. Just Grammy-nominated, Grammy Award-winning band. The music is incredible. It's more of an alternative sound. I think that their sound is very, very interesting. It's certainly unique. Their music really does play to a lot of different aspects of what I do in my life, whether I'm just like walking around chilling or first thing in the morning, or even just like great music to have on when you have like some friends over. Just a really, really good sound. And my cousin is the bassist.
And do you ever get to hang with them backstage? Because when you mix like rock and roll and professional athlete, it's a pretty good mixer. Do you get to hang with them ever?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I see my cousin a handful of times throughout the year. He's obviously always busy and working, as am I, but mainly for family get-togethers at times. And it's actually a concert that he did in St. Louis a couple of years back. We weren't in town for it, unfortunately, but he was, in fact, wearing a jersey of mine, which I thought was very cool. So, obviously, there's a lot of love there. It's family, so.
That's awesome.
He's incredibly talented. The people he's surrounded by are incredibly talented, so.
Now, I also...
Nice family connection.
That's cool. And I also read, and again, it's from my exhaustive research, going back to Wikipedia, which I did when you first came up to the big leagues, but I must have missed this, but it also says you're also related to Scott Baio, who people know from Happy Days. It's not as close...
And Charles in Charge.
And Charles in Charge. It's not as close as your relationship to the bassist from Vampire Weekend, but still a family member. Is that true?
He is, yeah. I mean, his work is a little outdated for me with regards to my age. But, yeah, he's had a nice career doing what he's done in his life, so...
I mean, has he ever been at family gatherings like, hey, look, it's Chachi?
No, actually, he hasn't.
We gotta get that. I would like to get all the Baders and Bayos together.
The rock stars.
Yeah. That's quite a family tree to have that kind of celebrity. That's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's only getting better.
Harrison, you talked to us before about a bit of your skiing background. So Winter Olympics started up. I haven't really watched much of it, not going to lie. I watched a little bit of the Big Air last night on NBC. Are you watching much of the Winter Olympics? Are you into it?
I'm definitely into it. Pretty saddened when Michaela Schifrin didn't qualify or didn't finish, which is unfortunate because I'm a huge fan. But no, I mean, I just, I love watching it all. I just think it's very, very disheartening to see that there's no fans in the stands and everything. So it's just tough for the athlete to hype yourself up the same way. I've gone through a season where there are no fans in the stands, so I know what that's like. So it's just difficult for the athletes to experience that. But listen, it is what it is. It's a difficult world we're living in right now, still suppose.
I'm sure we've talked about it over the time, but at the time, when you played in front of no fans or the cardboard cutouts, which I was glad to see go by the wayside, I think I was talking to Paul DeYoung, who said, look, It's not easy, but you have to take the positives away from it. And I know that you're that way too, where you try to get rid of the negative and just focus on the positive, which I think is admirable. But he said one of the things is you kind of, because there's no noise in the stadium or it's just pumped in, it's easier to focus on what you're doing. What was it like not playing in front of fans? It had to be weird. What was it like for you?
Yeah, I don't think it's easier to focus, honestly. It's different for every player. Everything is different for every player. You have no fans in the stands. You have fans in the stands. It's all just really, really subjective. But no, for me, I hated every second of it. I didn't want. It's just hard. The fans allow you to have such a different element. I use the fan engagement, the fan noise, whether the boos or cheers. I use that as fuel, and I use that as focus. Listen, I can see where Paul is coming from. He's an interesting cat. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, I don't know. If I could choose between having fans in the stands or no fans in the stands, you better believe I'm going to choose having fans in the stands.
When I talk to Paul DeYoung, like the first thing I ask him in an interview is, what's interesting to you these days? Because he's always into something. He is a fascinating guy. He reads, he investigates stuff. Like whatever the latest thing, like I forget he was using this vibration technology to enhance his physical ability and stuff. He always, whatever cutting edge, he knows something about. If you could pick one guy to just sit down of all your teammates and talk to for an hour where you know it's going to be an interesting conversation, would it be DeYoung or who would you pick?
Yeah, it would definitely be DeYoung. You kind of touched on it right there. He's a very well-read. Whether it's a new book he's reading or just researching on the internet, he really does have an appetite for learning, an appetite for gaining new knowledge, whether it's about something that is related to baseball or not related to baseball. He really just does enjoy keeping his mind going, which I can respect. I'm a little bit different in terms of that. I go into different modes. In the off season, I'll think in my quest for knowledge, if you will, is different in the off season than when it is in season. But that's just, that's me. That's just how I go about it. So
during the season, during the season, you kind of shut down and stay within yourself. Is that what you're saying?
No, it just comes like the information I'm seeking is totally related to how I'm going to get better on the field. And it's not to say that's not what Paul is doing. It's just he also mixes in, fun things that he's still learning about. Whereas I'm just in season for 6-7 months, whether you want to include spring training, and playoffs and everything. I'm solely focused on every piece of information that comes through my mind is about winning and how I can be better individually to help the team win. So, my Google searches and my long reads in a book that really are non-existent if it's not going to help me win a baseball game.
So, Harrison, you said in season it's all baseball, baseball, baseball. As we're still in this extended off season, if you got some time or a couple hours, what are you watching? Are you into some true crime documentary type stuff? I watched the Tinder Swindler the other day, which was very interesting on Netflix. Are you getting into a show like Ozark? What are you watching?
If I have a couple hours in the day, I'm not inside. I'll take a walk outside or head downtown and just grab a coffee or something, just enjoy the city. I don't really get so much time to chill, so when I do get it, I'll enjoy what the city has to offer. I kind of keep the shows more to for travel. I'll download them, when I go to the airport to watch or on a flight, which I do, get the opportunity to do some traveling in the off season. So when I do watch a show, I'll do it then. But normally I'm just pretty tired at night and just kind of, chill and just fall asleep. Don't really do too much.
Yeah, I hear that, man. Hey, during the season, it's a long grind, and you go through ups and downs. Do you use a sports psychiatrist at all? And if so, does it help?
I do, yeah. His name and her name, I have two, actually. First one's name is Louis Bader. Second one's name is Janice Bader. And they're my parents, and they are free. And they know me better than anybody.
Yep.
And they don't have any other clients besides my sister, who does, in fact, take a lot of time. But they do find a way to, mix me into their schedule. I've tried to speak with sports psychologists and sports psychiatrists, and I mean, there's definitely a place for them. There's no doubt, and there are plenty of athletes who have recommended me to people, and they say their lives have changed as a result of them. But I've tried it, and I've just felt more comfortable with, having confidence, knowing that I can change myself within my own head, and I don't really need to, look too far outside of the people who know me best. And that's always just kind of worked for me, especially through times when I've needed them most. So with regards to that, I don't know. I just keep it really close and try to be as private as I can, even though you guys have opened up my entire family tree this morning.
That's right. Before we let you go.
Well, hold on.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No. I did ask questions of Twitter for Harrison from Cardinal fans because Harrison, he's learning here that we ask bad questions.
Yep.
And so we need to solicit the advice of listeners. So we have some quick hitters if you'll play ball, Harrison. First one, are you better or more confident on a ball hit over your head or a ball you have to charge?
More confident on a ball I have to charge.
All right. What player did you look up to as a kid? What baseball player?
The number one was either Torrey Hunter or Bernie Williams.
Nice. All right. Favorite adult beverage? This is all coming from Twitter.
Favorite adult beverage? Definitely Tito's.
Nice.
Ooh.
All right. If for some reason you found yourself on death row and you got one, I'm just saying, if you got one final meal, what would that final meal be?
Be a piece of bacon and porterhouse for two from Wolfgang Steakhouse.
Nice. Yeah. Would you ever shave your head?
Not unless I absolutely had to for some strange reason.
All right.
Like he was on death row.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Right.
Would you rather have a diving play to save a run in center field or hit a solo bomb?
Like a solo bomb to win or just a solo bomb?
I guess, how about you could either have a diving catch that saved the game or hit a walk-off solo bomb. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'd rather save the game if it's just a regular solo home run. If it's a walk-off home run, no, I'd rather walk it off because then we get to go home.
No doubt.
Yep.
And finally, any baseball superstitions?
That's a good one.
Any baseball superstitions?
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe with regards to, like, equipment, like, I'll never play without, like, an arm sleeve, but, like, in terms of, like, like, acting a certain way or doing a certain thing, I don't have any.
So, like, if you're hitting really well or maybe in a slump, you never switch up, hey, I'm wearing this shirt or I'm pulling my socks up or any type of thing like that?
Oh, yeah, no.
Gotcha.
That ain't gonna help you. I promise you that.
Yeah, because I mean that's one thing I've learned about Harrison, interviewing him and watching him, is he believes in himself, and he does. Like when he says, "I root out the negativity," he really does. Like he had a bad game, I forget when it was, and he was on the Zoom, and he said, "Yeah, I take responsibility for this, but I'm going to put it behind me, and I'm going to focus on the positive." And I've seen him put that into action. I've seen it work. Before we let you go, I just remembered this. I'm sure Harrison doesn't remember this. The first time I ever met Harrison Bader was at a spring training game. You hit a foul ball, and my kid caught it, right? So he's sitting there, and I'm like, oh, that's great. And over comes a guy, didn't know him. He didn't know, he had no clue that I was part of the broadcast or anything. And he said, "What's your name?" And my son said, "Tyler." And he said, "Hey, I'm Harrison Bader's dad. When between innings or after the game, he said, I'm going to take you down there and have Harrison sign it for you." And my kid went with your dad down, it was a few rows down because I get good seats. And he got, and you signed the ball for my kid with your dad. And I thought to myself, how cool is that?
I actually remember that.
Do you remember that? It was awesome.
Yeah, I do.
And I know as I began to look into your background, I know your dad played a really big role in your development as a young baseball player. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As did my mother, but yes, they really did.
Hey, last one for me, bud?
Absolutely did.
What's a favorite spot to eat in St. Louis if your buddy's coming in town?
I like Dominic's on the Hill.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, baby, the Hill.
Well, we got off to a rough start, and I think this would be something Harrison would agree to. It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
That's right.
And I think after we had a couple of problems getting you on the air. I think it went well. And, Harrison, I want to thank you, as we do every week, for a wonderful appearance. Thank you, Harrison.
Thanks, big boy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All
Right on,
love it.
Right
See
on,
man.
You got it.
How about that?
Oh my God,
We did it.
We did it.
Now,
We did it.
Now, can I hand out gold stars?
Can we grade? Can we grade right now?
I'm going to give it an A. But I'm going to give Charlie
was
a gold
good.
star because he put himself out there with a question that Harrison found interesting.
Which one?
A bunch of them. You did good because you did your homework.
Cam.
Yes.
Great job.
Not bad. The one
then-
I was nervous.
It was like every question we asked him, because we put a little effort into it, had traction, and we had momentum.
Yes, we're
and
going.
And then Nate asked him about
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I'll defend it all day long because if you've seen Too Many Zoots, it's right up Harrison's alley. And quite frankly, I thought he would take off with it. So, yeah, it was a ton of a question, but honestly, Too Many Zoots is badass, and you don't know what it is. So I know you're just trying to pry me right now, but see, I don't play these games.
But
Jimmy.
he doesn't go on the subway. Nate don't mess around.
Yeah.
But Harrison doesn't go on the subway.
I'm not Seth, so you come after me, I'm going to come after you.
Listen.
Yeah, go ahead
There's
now.
much love between us, Little
I
Dipper.
know.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, my thing is, it doesn't matter if it was a good question or not. It was just the response.
I know.
Therefore, I'm withholding your gold star. I don't think it was a bad question. It just wasn't a successful question. As I've told Seth time after time, the only dumb question is the question not asked. Now, Seth would have gotten a gold star except for the turmoil at the beginning of the interview. I don't know if it was your fault or not. My guess is probably not. But you would understand why these beautiful gold stars that I'm handing out are not being handed in your direction. Yes?
I understand.
All right.
Oh, my God, that was funny. I know that band you're talking about, dude.
Yeah.
But it's a subway. They're in a subway. And the guy dances. He's got the thing, and the guy's hitting a box, and they're really, really good.
What's the name of it? Zoot?
Too Many Zoots.
good.
Like
And what's
ZOOC.
the style?
They're like horns. So one guy plays a big bass horn, and the other guy plays like a sax or a trumpet, and then they've got this drummer, and it's just three-piece.
And they sing too?
No.
It's just music.
They sing,
Yeah.
they dance, and they play music. It's really cool. And they're in a subway.
Can I tell you, though,
Harrison doesn't go to the subway.
that in that interview,
Nate, I love you, brother.
I love you.
in that interview,
Kind of.
so off the top, I do think when you can't hear the guy at first, it's funny, but then when it's the fourth time, and then Harrison left, and this is coming off last week where we did a terrible job.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did a terrible job. Let's be real, as hosts of conducting last week's interview.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was all excited, ready to prove myself. And then so we started, and you got him going with Scott Baio. And then so I asked him the question about the Olympics. Are you watching the skiing? And you didn't know. Because
didn't know.
look, Harrison Bader, he's a different cat. He doesn't watch football.
Yeah.
So even though he's a skier, if he'd have right there said, I'm not watching, I would have been done. I would have been deflated.
Rattled.
But the second he said, I'm into it, he brought up some skier's name that I've never heard of,
I know.
but he's into it. And right then I said, we got momentum,
good.
baby.
We're
We
good.
got momentum.
And right there, it showed that you are a gutsy broadcaster.
Yes.
Because you did ask a question that could have gone like the Zoots.
Yes.
But it didn't. And for that, you
Zoots.
get the gold star. And then Cam jumped in there.
I was nervous.
And I honestly thought, like, I know him, he's a good guy, we get along. But I thought you and he, because you're a professional athlete, were, and he is one, that would be the natural bond. And I think it's taken a little, but it's getting there. It's getting there. It's getting there.
There's no idea.
Well,
why.
hold on.
It's getting there.
To be fair, and this is no disrespect to you, you played 10 years in the NHL. You're probably 10-ish years older than him.
Yeah.
So you played in New Jersey near him. I don't know how big he is into hockey, but
He's not.
I don't think he knows you as the NHL hockey tough guy enforcer.
Probably.
Yeah.
But to be honest,
He just
Cam,
knows me as a bad host to ask stupid
I know
questions.
him from working with him. He knows you from working with him. And so that's probably true, but you are the biggest name on the dais.
Well, I asked him.
You're the marquee name on the show. And now your contribution. No, he is.
Whatever.
I'm just
I mean,
kidding.
that's fair. Like, Cam is the biggest name that we have. Now, sometimes his performance isn't as good as Charlie's.
No.
But you are the biggest name. So I thought he might latch on to that.
Yeah, well, I asked him about the. He had a great answer with the sports psychiatrist, and he's like, "Yeah, I do. I have two of them, and they're my mom and dad." And I was thinking the same damn thing. Like, that's my parents are too. And it sounds kind of corny, but they know me more than anybody does. Like, they know everything that happened in my life. They listen to me. They know everything. So whenever, after a game, I knew it. Right when my dad would pick up the phone when I called him after the game, if he was, yeah, I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, oh, God. Or he'd be like, hey, how you doing? You know, you just know. And then if I needed to break something down, I always knew my parents knew everything about me. That's who I went to, and I'm glad that he answered the same way.
And your dad was more of a sports fan. Like, he was, right? My dad, always rooted for me, but, like, after the game, he'd be like, hey, you going to score one of those goals that the other kids were scoring? Like that.
You're going to do that one thing that the other kid does that's really good? Yeah. My dad didn't play hockey. He didn't play hockey.
Hey, I saw your buddy Craig had 2 goals. Are you going to get one of those?
Yeah, but again, like, my dad didn't know hockey, but he knew me. And that's all you needed. He's not saying, hey, on the wall, take the puck and do this instead. Like, I'll figure that out because I have Hall of Famers teaching you. But he knew just a different element.
So,
and my mom.
Harrison's dad was a big dog corporate attorney. Big dog. Like, I'm not just talking about a lawyer, but, like, for major companies. And it's kind of interesting because I didn't think Harrison was ready to broach. We're easing into it, but I did ask him about it in an interview. He says his dad would throw at him when he was a kid intentionally, so he wouldn't be afraid of the ball. Not like abusive or anything, but just to let him know,
get hit,
ain't gonna kill you. Like, his dad was really a big part of what we see from Harrison Bader as a player now. Interesting. And good job across the board. We succeed. We overcame. We saw the problems. We made the look at you on social media using your platform to get questions. The quick hitters were good.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Suit.
So I'm gonna check that band out. I'm gonna check that band out.
It's cool. Okay. They're cool.
So true story. We've all been in this game for a while.
Probably too long.
So I do try to prepare. Sometimes I think it's better if we don't necessarily, I don't want to say not prepare, but coming in, I thought we had to do a good interview with Harrison Bader. I don't usually ever get nervous, but when he went off the air, I got tight.
So did I, buddy.
Like, my body started to get hot. Because I'm thinking, we got to do a good one here. We got to do a good one.
He's slipping away.
And then when he fell off the air, I was just like, oh,
it's over.
No.
He ain't answering the phone.
Yeah,
again.
Me too.
So,
yeah.
Like, you have, like, an outside judgment on this. So we're arrogant and we think whatever we do is great and everybody loves us. Like, because we're arrogant. I don't either. But you, from a business standpoint, when you repost this on your YouTube channel, you look at it from a business. Will this one have traction? You didn't use one of them because you weren't certain how it would play. This one, do you think is better and more useful for YouTube from a business?
100%. First of all, not to get into the weeds of it because it's boring, but YouTube is very much about your niche. So my page is a very St. Louis Cardinals niche. So anything St. Louis Cardinals does much better relative to other topics. I post every Matt Holliday interview. They're doing well. I had posted every Harrison Bader interview. They're doing well. Last week, I didn't feel like it was worth posting, and that's on us. This interview, 100%. And by the way, you have to edit for YouTube anyway for copyright reasons. So you can't put a full clip on YouTube if it has music because you can play that music on the radio. You can't play that on YouTube. So to use an analogy from sports, YouTube is all about hitting the hole. It's better to start your video interesting than all the pleasantries to, hey man, how you doing? Yeah. If you have 30 seconds of, hey buddy, that doesn't play well as
people are going to scroll out.
Him almost immediately answering something interesting. So
that is now
we're gonna post it and it'll do fine.
Just a business question. I'm not trying to take shots. I just don't know about it. Would it make business sense for you to transition from a YouTube channel that the niche focus is Cardinals and then change that where the niche focus is the Zoots?
Ooh, yeah. Rusty Enrique chimes in and goes,
that's funny.
Bader is such a ball of energy. Wow. Rectal Rocco Director really chimes in and goes, Nate's question to Bader was like Farley interviewing the celebrities on Saturday Night Live. You remember when you did this? That was awesome. When he had, who do you have on?
Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney.
You remember when you're in the Beatles?
Yeah, I do.
That was awesome. Listen, what if Bader was really into that band?
Would have taken off.
But it was a good question.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah.
It was a New York band. See, Nate's thinking this is a New York guy. he's also, if he's into this type of music from the New York scene, he's very much about the city.
Nate knows what
he took a shot.
It was fine. You took it. Look, that's what we do on the show.
Yeah, right.
Someone stumbles, then we kick them when they're down.
Kick them when they're down.
But, I mean, like, Charlie threw out the question about the Olympics. It worked. And then, so we had momentum, and then you took your shot. It's not wrong to take your shot. You got to shoot to score.
I'm just making sure that you guys know how to rekindle the flame on an interview that I can throw a little water on.
So you were helping us develop.
That's right.
It. Thank you, Nate.
I'm helping you guys.
Jim and Crestwood chimes in and goes, guys, pass out the Emmys now. Great show prep. Jim and Crestwood. Just retire now while you're on top, boys.
I'll be honest. You know what the key was? Like, yes, I agree that you can over prep. I know it seems like a fake excuse for not prepping. But the truth is, we all watch sports. At least we used to, right? I mean, until
we don't watch much
until there's no baseball, and you have a down week.
2 weeks of hockey gone.
Like when things heat up, we're all watching because we all love sports, right? So we're, a lot. You used to work in the business. You do a lot of stuff now with the podcast. We're kind of plugged in.
Yeah.
So you can over prepare, but for example, with the Harrison Bader one, I did kind of get too comfortable because on the happenstance that he wasn't responsive and the thing was going into the toilet, if I had remembered the Vampire Weekend, I took it for granted too much. So I had to learn my lesson. You prepped, and it worked out.
And when I said I don't like to prepare, I didn't mean that I don't think you should be ignorant. I'm looking at more from the sense of Matt Holliday. To me, Matt Holliday's interviews are way better when you go with whatever the hell comes up. Like yesterday, Bob Evans,
he's just
snacks,
the coolest dude going.
Intramural basketball. I mean, of course, none of that's planned. And I think, especially a guy like Matt Holliday played here for about 8 years, whatever it was. You know him as a baseball guy, and he can talk baseball. We've discussed the Hall of Fame, this and that, Scott Boras, but
at bat with the tears in his eyes. You've probably done 2 or 3 interviews on that.
But I think getting to know him, he's funny, right? He likes to joke around with us. He likes to rip on us. To me, that's great stuff.
Mitch chimes in and goes, best interview. I love navigating an interview like a concerned parent. It's sweet. Calm down. Bader just drank his coffee early this morning. Whatever. He was on. He answered it. I mean, we had a couple stumbles right off the bat. Didn't think he was going to answer the phone, and then we were going good, and then Nate kind of stumbled, and I thought maybe he was kind of
we were established.
I know who the band he's talking about. Hey, by the way, we got trivia right now, I believe.
Well, do we break first?
Do you want to break first and then regroup and do our thing?
And before we do that, though, it's your trivia contest, right? So you take charge of the scoring. Okay. It's your decision.
Exactly.
If it works against me, that's fine.
Hold on. Can we say this? Because I think as a team. Now, I know that Seth does his homework on this, but if he didn't have a tiebreaker question, in the next 2-3 minutes, can you just Google just any type of trivia potpourri for a tiebreaker? Is that fair?
I'll think it's
How about this?
Or make it about the Zoots.
Make it about the Zoots. Mm-hmm.